Welcome to our lesson for today. Yeah. So, remember last time we talked about how Elisha was given a message from God, and God said that there was going to be so much wheat and barley that is going to be sold for 1/5 of the price in Israel after they had been suffering because the Syrians were outside the city of Samaria and they would not let anything in and they would not let anything out. Yeah. And the chief officer did not believe this. He actually laughed and mocked him and said, "There's no way this can happen." Yes. And then Elisha told him, "It will. I promise you, God has said it will happen and it will happen. Yeah. But because you do not believe, you will see it, but you will not have any of it." Yes. So now, back at the gates of Samaria, there were these 4 men who were sick.
So these 4 men were actually outside the gates of Samaria because they had leprosy, and so they could not mingle with everyone else. They were separated. So they were outside and they were also very hungry, and they were also suffering because of the situation in Samaria.
Actually, they were suffering more than the people who are living in Samaria. These 4 Israelites were suffering. Yes. And one day they just looked, one of them said, "You know, we are going to die out here.
Either way.
We're going to die out here." And then the second one said, "Even if we were inside the city, we would still die." Yeah. And then the third one said, "Maybe we should go into the Syrian camp. Yes. I mean, they might kill us, but they also might give us food and let us live." Yes. And the fourth one was, we should do that. I think we should do that. Yeah. Maybe they'll kill us, maybe they won't. Yeah. Either way, we have a chance to save our lives.
Yes, because if we stay here, we'll die.
If we go into the city, we'll die. Yes. So let's go. So then they agreed and they decided that they were all going to go. Yes. So it was getting dark by the time they went out. So then they were trying to be very quiet and very sneaky, and they were trying to go into the Syrian camp. So they went and they were looking for a nice soldier. So a nice Syrian soldier who went to give them food. Yes. So when they went, they got to the first tent and they looked and there was no one inside. There was no one inside, but there was a lot of food. There was so much food, and then there was so much wine. So the 4 men, they went to the tent quickly and ate. And they ate. And they were so hungry because remember they had been starving and suffering. So they ate everything that they could eat, and then they drank everything they could eat, and then they were full. They were so full. But so they still needed to see what was in the other tent.
Yes, they ate to their fill in the first tent and then decided, let's go and check what's in the other tent. So they went quietly. But to their surprise, when they checked inside, there was also no one inside. But this time round, because they were already full, they noticed even the other things that were there apart from the food. So they decided we're going to take even the treasures for ourselves. So they took the gold
and the silver and the nice clothes. Yes, and then they also noticed that there's no one around. The whole Syrian camp was deserted. It was empty. Yes. There was no one left. So now they could take anything and everything that they wanted.
Yes. And then one of them thought and told the others, we have all these things at our disposal, but remember there are other people
in the other Israelites.
Yes, there are other Israelites who are also suffering. And because we can't just take all this for ourselves.
We have to go and call them.
Let's go and tell them what is happening here. And so they decided, yes, we're going to go and tell our people what is going on here. So they went
together, they went to the guards and they told the guards this. And then even the king was woken up because he was wondering, what is all of this about? Yes. So he was woken up and then they told him. But the king didn't believe it at first. He was like, it is a trick. The Syrians are just trying to trick us so that we can come out and they can attack us. But the king still decided to send a group of soldiers who are going to go and find out if what these 4 men were saying was true. So when these soldiers went, they found out, these 4 men are telling us the truth. This whole Syrian camp is deserted. So sometime in the middle of the night, the Syrians had thought that they were hearing this big giant army coming to attack them, and so to save their own lives they all ran away and they left all of their supplies.
But remember, it was actually the 4 lepers who were going to ask for food from the Syrians, but the Syrians themselves did not know it was the 4 lepers. What they had was like a big army coming to them, and that is why they had run away, and the 4 lepers had gone inside their tents and found a lot of food. And now the news was all over Samaria that there is a lot of food in the Syrians' camp, and the king sent his armies and his soldiers
to go get the food so they can bring it, and it can be sold
Yes.
to the people at the city gates.
Yes.
Now, when the food arrived at the gates of Samaria, all of the Israelites, there was so much chaos, because remember, these people had been suffering and they were so hungry, and now they were going to get all of this food, so there was this big rush to go and get the food. So the king sent his chief officer, remember, the one who had gone to see Elisha. He sent him to go and to try and organize the people and to keep them together so that all of this food can be sold to them. But in the craziness of everyone trying to go and get food, he was knocked down and he died in the crush of people.
Stepped on him.
So many people, so he ended up dying. Now remember, Elisha had told him, because you do not believe, you will see the miracle, but you will not eat any of their food. So, children, from this story, we learn that we always need to remember to be generous to others. Because these 4 men had everything, and it could be all theirs.
They could take
everything and no one would stop them
and keep them
all
from
theirs.
themselves. But they decided, no, we're going to be generous, and we're going to call even the other people, our people who are also suffering in Samaria, and we'll tell them what is happening here. And so because they were able to share what they had found, the good news that there were no Syrians in their camp and there was so much to eat, the miracle that Elisha had talked about, that there was going to be plenty of food the next day, actually came to pass, simply because these men decided they were not going to keep everything to themselves.
They were not going to let themselves be happy and let everyone else suffer. So like these 4 men, whenever we have something and we are not suffering anymore, we shouldn't let anyone else suffer when we are able to help them.
And then also remember that God is our provider, because as God had said through Elisha, he made it come to pass. And when the 4 lepers who were slowly going in scared
just to borrow food, they now were able to
the Syrians thought that there was a very huge army coming at them, and that is how God was able to help the Israelites to actually get food the next day, just as Elisha had said. So now we need to realize that God is actually our provider, and he provides for us everything that we need. So we'll stand up and sing our song. So let's all stand up and sing.
Song time. Everyone stand up and help us sing this song that I know you know, that's about giving love and kindness. Because we've just learned like the 4 men who were suffering even more than everyone inside the gates of Samaria. They were still generous and they remembered to help their people. And through them, God was able to save Israel. So everyone stand up and help us sing this song about giving love and giving kindness, because that's one of the things we can be generous with. In my heart and in my soul, I've got a reason for this joy I can't control. I wanna sing, I wanna dance, and give everyone a chance to hear about this endless love I know. Oh, what you give to me is not for me to keep, it's for the world to see your love. Every day you're giving me your kindness. Every day you're giving me your love. Oh, with every single breath I am reminded that what you give is more than enough. So I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Oh, what you give to me is not for me to keep, it's for the world to see your love. Every day you're giving me your kindness. Every day you're giving me your love. Oh, with every single breath I am reminded give is more than enough. So I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Yay! It's time to do our craft. So, we've just talked about how the 4 men who are living outside because they had leprosy and were suffering, just as the other Israelites living inside Samaria were suffering, decided to sneak into the Syrians' camp and ask for help from a nice Syrian soldier. But what they found instead was all the tents were empty except for food and wine and gold and silver and all these nice robes and all these nice things which were given to the Israelites. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an empty tent. And this is going to remind us of the story of how the 4 men went and found an empty tent. And through these 4 men, God was able to help the Israelites. So they were no longer starving. So I want you to take, we have 2 pieces of paper. One is very light and thin and we can fold it easily. And then one is very hard. It's a piece of card that we can use to hold our tent. So first thing I want you to do, I want to put the light paper aside. Then take the piece of card and I want you to write down this story. So our story for today is a continuation of the one for last time. So it still comes from 2 Kings chapter 7. So that's the first thing I want you to write. 2 Kings 7. And I'm just going to write it here at the center of my paper. Okay, then the second thing we need to remember is what exactly happened. So we are going to write the story down in a few parts. So, part 1. The 4 lepers go to the Syrian camp. Okay, then right under that, we're going to go into part 2. So in part 2, the tent is empty. Okay, then part 3 is the 4 men eat all the food. Well, not all the food, but a lot of food. Okay, then the 4th part, all the tents are empty. And then the next part is all the food, gold, silver, all the food, gold, and silver goes to the Israelites. All the food, gold, and silver goes to the Israelites. And the last one, God saves Samaria. Okay, so now we have our entire story written down. So next thing we need to do is we need to make our tent. So take that light paper that you had put aside and we're going to fold it, and this is going to become our tent. So first of all, take a corner and fold it in to make a triangular top. Okay, so once that is done, I want you to turn your paper around to the other side and cut the center. So the longer the cut, the bigger the opening of your tent. So just remember that. You can cut it all the way to the top. You can cut it small. It depends on how wide you want your tent opening to be. I'm just going to put mine very close to the top. Okay, so now that you have a cut piece, next thing I want you to do is I want you to fold aside like you're opening a tent. And fold the other side along the line that you've just come from cutting. Then finally, I want you to fold the tip, the corner at the bottom of where you've come from folding. Just the corner at the bottom, fold that up too. Then open it. Then do the same thing on the other side. Fold up the bottom. And then open it. Then I want you to turn your piece around and we need to connect it. So I want you to take your glue stick and at the back, remember the first fold we did to make a triangular tip? I want you to glue those two pieces together at the back. Okay, and make sure it's secure. Then I want you to place your tent down on top of the base that has our story. And I need you to take your stapler now and just being very careful. I need you to staple the pieces down. Staple them down or glue them down. Stapling down is faster, but let's just glue them down for now. So you can staple, you can glue them down and just glue down the flaps. Remember those tiny folds we did at the bottom? Just glue those down. Okay, and once everything is glued down, now we have a tent. Now we have a tent and we have our story, and it's an empty tent, and we have the story explaining why the tent is empty. There are no people inside, and all of the riches have been taken to Samaria, so the people can now have food. So this is our craft for today, and that has been our lesson for today. So until next time, bye.